let's crack on with the next lot. I've got them noted down here. And the last video finished with an Addies dive, a lovely quartz dive piece. Really good value. Let's move on to something which I would say was one of the bedrock pieces, the foundation watches to this channel early on, very early on, when I just started into this and exploring the world of homage watches or Aliexpress watches you can get with great specs for very little money. One of my favourites of all time is from Cadisen. It's the infamous, the granddaddy of them all, the C1032. This is a dressier piece, I must say, with a very, very shiny bracelet, but it's a strap monster. You can get it with a black or a silver dial. You get it with an NH36 Seiko movement. I know many people are bored of them now, but it's so nice to have an everyday wear watch with a day-date complication, attractive design, very simple design, but it's crisp, it's clear, it's just such a great, simple watch, which looks classic and is classy. For, at the time, I got the cheapest one I ever bought was £35. That's before that we got rinsed on all these extra fees which they chuck on. Now they're still £40 to £50, and I'd say for the money, it's outstanding. An automatic stainless steel watch with sapphire crystal, looks good, strap monster, you can't go wrong. Perfect. Now, believe it or not, I've got a few Paganis in this list. I know I've poo-pooed them in recent months and years, but that's because prices have shot up on some of their models. I've had a few, then I don't really forgive the sloppy build quality and things, but earlier on I had watches that had almost zero issues. It's almost like I've just had a bit of bad luck later on in my reviewing career, if you will. One of the watches which impressed me the most from Pagani design was their Exploring watch number 2 with a white dial and an orange GMT hand. It's the GMT watch they effectively offered. 42mm case size, and the thing I liked about this watch was it looks great. They don't take the credit for that, but they did a good job of it. I loved the fit and finish of this watch, the black hands, etc., and that orange and the white working well together, and the looks of this piece had blue lume, which is actually really solid for this type of watch. Often Pagani design have terrible lume, but it's actually really good. So compliments to Pagani for that watch, and I really enjoyed that piece. Very impressive. I'd say now the hype of that watch is very much gone. You can get them for a really good price, so I'd really recommend one of those. I've not reviewed this watch yet. I thought I'd dabble, whilst we're talking about the Pagani design version of this watch. I bought a PARNIS, and guess what? It's even better. It's the smaller size, a size you can't buy now. If you're paying tribute to a watch which is currently on the market, it's a bit more squiffy. If you're paying tribute to a watch that isn't now available due to its case size, it's where PARNIS wins a bit better. The lume is about the same as the Pagani design. The price is a bit less. The overall build quality is slightly better. The bracelet is on par, maybe not quite as good. The clasp I don't like. It's difficult to get the whole watch on your wrist. But the wearability and comfort, the look of the watch is fantastic. I've always had issue with PARNIS. The logo just sounds like penis. But I can't always let that bother me, because the Chinese brands always have terrible names generally. So I can forgive the silly name, and it is just an homage watch at the end of the day, but it's just a pretty watch for not too much money and a great spec, and I've enjoyed it, and I've still got it in the collection, and that says a lot. Next up, another Corgeut. I've reviewed one in part 1, and that was the GMT style watch, that similar to a watch from a Swiss company. Really good value. Another really good value piece was another style of watch, paying tribute to a watch from Switzerland again, paying tribute to a watch that is made by Bromiga. This is beautiful watch. I would say aesthetically it's very good. The build quality generally is very good. The one I had was very nice. Did have a rattly, cheapo movement in it, but you know what, I can live with that, because you can sometimes find these, depends on what batches they do, with NH35s, and that is a great movement to have in this watch, because it's your bog standard, reliable, rarely lets you down, more refined, less squeaky, rattly rotor movement. If you can get it with this NH35, do it. But the looks, the build quality, and everything about this watch was really good. The only downside maybe is the butterfly clasp you get. The sizing isn't always ideal. I got it to fit me perfectly, but it's a strap monster again, this watch. You get it with the black dial. You can put it on so many different straps, which I enjoyed doing when I had this watch. You can't go wrong. One of my absolute top favourite watches. Another watch here, which I didn't think I'd include in the list, but I couldn't resist because I thought it was beautiful, is from Merkur. Or Merkur. I was sent that as a review piece. No, I bought that one, sorry. Scrap that. I bought this FOD, Fly Over Darkness or something, pilot style watch with an SD19 manual wind chronograph movement, a gorgeous movement you could see through the exhibition case back. I recommend that watch because of so many aspects about it. lovely. It's got a vintage look and feel to it. It's got a gorgeous high domed acrylic, and it's got, which I love anyway, because it's just got that warmth and texture to it, which is different to crystal. You don't have the glare, the reflections, etc. Had good build quality, had a lovely movement, which is beautiful to look at. Lovely feel of the pushers for the chronograph function, wearable size. It's just a really good all-rounder, and it's relatively affordable. Next up is a watch I actually borrowed from a subscriber, Brian. Thank you again, Brian, for lending me this watch ages ago. This is one of my favourites because Felida have done really good homage to a very famous watch that was the Moon watch, effectively. And Phylida did a fabulous homage to that. And they did an homage to a watch you can no longer buy, and that is the Tin Tin. And that is effectively a nickname for the original piece made by Omega, because it had a red and white checkered pattern within the chaptering, or the rehort, if you will. And that just added a dimension of interest and flair and fun to this type of watch. And the fact they did that as their own version is fantastic. And they sold like hotcakes. I'm surprised they don't just keep making them and do a refinement or a slightly better version of it, because it's such a great all-rounder. It looks beautiful. And they are really well made watches. You've got the Seagull ST movements, you know, with the gorgeous exhibition case back. Pretty movement to look at. Yeah, they don't just keep making them. I just wish they'd just go, right, let's accept that customers really want this and make loads more. I don't know why they don't. I have another Cadisen for you here. Now, I've been a fan of and reviewed many Cadisens. So to summarise it down, one of my favourite Cadisens which I reviewed was actually, it's paying a strong homage to a very expensive brand, Audemars Piguet, the Royal Oak. They did two different size versions. Both of them I found wore comfortably. They look good, they're fun, they're a bit of a statement piece. If you can get them to fit you well, integrated bracelet is always an issue, but if you get it to fit you well, or well enough, you'll enjoy it. It's a fun watch to wear, it looks good, great spec. I've never had any issues with build quality with Cadisen watches, so I really recommend one of those bad boys. The next one would be possibly one of my favourite watches of all time you could buy on Aliexpress. I don't know why, I think it's more for sentimental reasons. And that is the homage to a very famous Rolex, a very famous racing style chronograph watch that Pagani design I think it's a bestseller, it really is. There's so many variations of this piece now, but I love it for the following reasons. The price, the specification, the Seiko mecha quartz movement, the feel of the pushers when you push them, the screw down pushers, the versatility of it, there's a strap monster, the choices available, etc. Everything about it is just spot on for a fun sports watch for very little money. So I still would put that very highly on your list. If you have never bought one, I really recommend them. Amazing. And I'm finishing this list with another Pagani and two more PARNIS. So the Pagani I recommend next is one that I reviewed a long time ago, and it was my first giveaway. And for sentimental reasons, that's important, but I still think it's a fabulous watch. It was the homage to a GMT. I reviewed it in part one, the Corgeut version, which was a bit less money, but I really recommend the Pagani design version for the same reasons. The build quality, the looks, everything about it, the value for money. It's a great watch, really fun and pretty. I like the Batman version myself, but again, there's a lot of choice. You can go for lots of different variations. So I'd say that's a really good top pick from me. And the last two is the PARNIS, which pays again tribute to a watch from Rolex, and it's one that I love because it was a lovely gold and silver colour theme, and it had really comfortable bracelet, a nice movement which ran really well, good specification, and it just looked like a classy gentleman's watch. And I really enjoyed that watch. It was very special to me because it was from earlier on in my reviewing and being impressed with this type of watch from China. And it's still, I would say, if I looked at one again now, I would still be impressed, because the money you spend and what you get for your money, it's a good looking watch you could just wear and not worry about it, and it just looks like a classy piece. And the grand finale is a PARNIS PA6079, and again, another thing from PARNIS is they offer very similar quality to Pagani design, etc., and Cadisen, similar sort of money, but this one I loved because it looked a bit different to all the other watches out there. The build quality on this one was fabulous, slight alignment issue with the bezel, but it had a bi-directional bezel, ceramic insert, gorgeous colour dial, really nice vulcanized rubber strap on this one, and I was very impressed with it, and I thought it was beautiful. It had just a nice look to it. It was just a pretty watch, and it wasn't very expensive. So that is another watch I really recommend because didn't disappoint me at all really, apart from maybe the bezel alignment. But you know what? It's the kind of thing you expect with these cheaper watches. So now you've heard my highlights, which I've waffled for not too long, but there's going to be another video linked to this one, I recommend you go and check that out, because that is going to be me discussing watches I don't recommend. The worst watches. I've got probably 15 watches I've seen over my 2 and a bit years of reviewing watches, which I don't recommend, and I'll tell you why. So if you want more of this recommendations or not recommendations theme, check this next video out, and I'll see you on that one. Bye for now.